Hi, welcome to our training today about mobile. I'm going to take about 40 minutes to help you with understanding where mobile's at, where it's going, and how it can benefit your clients. Welcome to my home office in Tucson, Arizona, and welcome back to the new year of your first full week of work. And I know myself included that the last couple of weeks were really nice, very relaxing, and wonderful weather here in Tucson, Arizona. So let me just start off with a little outline of what we're going to go over today. We're going to define mobile today. We're going to look at where is it going, how does your audience use it in their daily life, where they consume it, and that where is the important word there, and data, very specific data, and how that relates to our clients. Newspapers and mobile, why? What are mobile ad sizes, and what are, in my opinion, suggested costs for mobile? Alternatives for response on click on the ads. When we think of browser ads, we think of clicking to a website. In mobile, there's a number of alternatives that are much better than that. What are the benefits to the clients? And if there's nothing else today, I hope I get across to you is the benefit to the client. If you walk away from today and believe in this and believe it's in the client's best interest, then you will sell it and you will benefit the client, because there's a lot of good reasons for it. Mobile is everywhere today, and I mean everywhere. In case you missed it, cultural mentality of the world today is what mobile's all about. Mobile is not about technology. Mobile is about our society and how we want to be connected socially and how we want to be connected on an ongoing basis at any moment. It's relatable to most anyone at all. All of your clients can relate to mobile. If there's no better word, it's ubiquitous in our society. I love using that word. I don't know if I spelled it right there. Ideas for content, specifically for mobile, is my last thing. I want to show some of the content producers that you have to think of producing content and when you send content and what you send out that's different than web browser. So here's mobile today, January 2015. It's tablets, it's smartphones, and it's increasingly wearables. We're going to go over that a little bit, but some of you probably have not even thought about how wearables can affect news organizations. First subject to talk about is tablets. Tablets are used differently in most cases than smartphones. Tablets are usually about 15 to 20% of usage, and it doesn't mean that someone who has a tablet doesn't have a smartphone. They use it for different reasons. They use it for camming. There's that nice camera on a tablet that grandparents absolutely love to see their grandchildren on. They use it to read books. They use it for Amazon Kindle integration. They use it for long consumption content. Long consumption in the mobile world is anything more than a minute and a half. But long consumption can be much larger than that. And tablets are usually used for 20 to 25 minutes at a time. They're used for YouTube videos. They're used at nighttime for pre-sleep companion. They have replaced or sometimes integrated with TV watching when people go to sleep. A lot of TV manufacturers, as an example, are very concerned that the number of televisions in a household is going to, and if not already is, declining because people do not see the necessity to have a television in their bedroom. Weekend usage. Tablets are used heavily on midday Saturday and mid-afternoon on Sunday. Think about NFL football as an example right now. Tablets are used big time for football fantasy. They're used for learning content. People like the format, the size, the portability, and so forth of it, and the fact that they can start and stop at any time they want. For some reason, people really feel more confident about using a tablet versus a smartphone for banking reasons. Not to say they don't use a smartphone, but it is highly used for that. Multitasking, this is what people do a lot with a tablet. They cook, they watch TV, they work in their shop, they work on their car, they are outside in the patio, whatever. Multitasking is a lot different than, say, other devices. Obviously, this picture shows cooking. The Food Network on their channel know that the vast majority of people looking at the Food Network are looking at it on a tablet. Smartphones, I'm going to cover not only what they are, how they're used, and show you the 15 to 20 different devices that smartphones have replaced and or supplemented. Here's some of them, and all of us are aware of this, but when we think of this added up in one device that's held in your palm, it isn't just amazing, but it's why our clients want to be there, right in a customer's hand. It's an alarm clock. It's the first thing people pick up if they need an alarm clock. I'm old enough now that I don't use an alarm clock anymore. It's a calendar book. Think of people who used to keep calendar books. Totally have replaced that. It's a camera. One of the top usages for smartphones is any type of camera, whether it be still or pictures. The megapixels that smartphones have increased and the quality of pictures are beyond anything ever imagined. And camera manufacturers are basically niche players now. It obviously is used for email. It's used as an ebook reader. We talked about that with tablets, but in smaller dosages, it's used that way. One of the top usage for a smartphone is to play music, whether it be on a radio or Pandora or Spotify or whatever. It's to plug in those earphones and tune out on a portable basis. It's an address book, kind of like the calendar. Gaming is huge. All of us, or some of us, maybe never game at all, but the people that game love smartphones. It's a wallet, whether it's iPay or iWallet or Google Wallet. If it isn't already, it's going to replace and or supplement a wallet and or credit cards. It's a directory for business. It's a way that people, when they leave work and they're thinking about, say, going out to eat, they'll talk into their smartphone and say, Mexican restaurant. Not only will it find the Mexican restaurant, it'll find the one closest to them. It'll give a rating. It'll have a telephone number where you can call for an appointment, and it'll possibly even have the ability to make a reservation at the exact table that you want, all in less than a couple minutes. That just was never thought of before. Some of the new usages for smartphones are the following. Home security control has become huge for smartphone usage. Home environment, as this picture talks about, it shows the humidity, temperature, sun density. It can turn on and off lights, garage door openers, make sure that how many of us have ever left the house and said, oh, I'm 10 miles down the road. Did I leave the garage door open? And I've done that before. It's used for cam chatting and FaceTime. Smartphones, huge impact from an encyclopedia standpoint to look up things. I can give you a story numerous times over the holidays. You're at a party and Uncle Bill disagrees with you about how many points Michael Jordan scored in his career, and you say it's this and he says it's that, and what he does is he grabs his smartphone out, talks into it, gets the information, goes, gotcha. I know that's not the number one usage, but it's one more thing to kind of like play games at the bar, as an example. It's a key access. This is a relatively new thing in the last year. The ability to lock and unlock doors from just from your smartphone alone. It's any kind of home automation at all, whether it be temperature or automatic screens that go down in your houses, shades, all kinds of things, including home irrigation. Fitness and health monitor. This is the fastest growing part of smartphones. You can see here possibly on my wrist, I have an activity tracker, and activity trackers were one of the biggest holiday gift packets this year. People love using them for a lot of different reasons. And lastly, and not least important, it provides you content for news, information, and entertainment. So the category of wearables, as I talked about here, is an embryonic category, one that's growing faster and faster all the time, and is nowhere near what it's going to be in the future. A lot of these products that are out today will, in a year or two, be totally obsolete for a lot of different reasons, but they're still valuable in the meantime. My own personal example is using my wearable device. If I sit for an hour and I don't do anything, it gives me a vibration and basically tells me get off my butt. If I continue to sit for every 15 minutes, it continues to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised after a while it comes out with a little pin and pokes you with it. But it monitors my heart rate, it monitors my blood pressure, monitors how many steps I've taken today. It monitors my sleep, how many hours of good sleep versus poor sleep did I get. All that is tracked. So what is the kind of advantage of it? From a wellness standpoint, all that information, if you so desire, can be sent to your doctor, maybe in some case a cardiologist, to show what you're doing. It can monitor taking your medications properly. People constantly talk to the doctor and say that they're doing this and they're not. So that's one of the big aspects of wearables. It's a watch. That's one of the most obvious one. You wear it something on a wrist and it's a watch, but wearables are not just things worn on a wrist. Google Glasses. A lot of people have talked about that as quote unquote a failure. That is an embryonic product that will evolve over time. Who knows where it'll end up, but that's just one aspect of wearables. Clothes. Under Armour has done a fantastic job and developed patents for fabric that can monitor all that stuff that we just talked about before, from a wellness standpoint, from an activity and fitness standpoint, for runners, for marathoners, for cyclists and so forth, and just for people working out at the gym. They're going to have that patent above Nike and Adidas and so forth. A tremendous product. One of the cool products I've seen out there is called a skin projector. It's like a wearable, and it projects on your skin, mostly on your wrist or parts of your body, what a screen would look like normally. It's just the coolest thing in the world. Wearables are a lot used for sports and hiking and fitness. That's my interest, so obviously I have an interest in it. Sleep monitoring. There are a fair amount of the population that has sleep apnea. A wearable can look at that consumption, can even look at your oxygen levels over time. Like we talked about, health screening and wellness, child safety. It's amazing the devices that are out there to either monitor or possibly protect your children from falling in a pool, as an example. That can save hundreds of lives alone, just that. And lastly, one of the things that isn't discussed very much about wearables are that they are a fashion device and a jewelry device. And to some extent, they're used strictly from a fashion standpoint. And you will over time see that develop more and more over time instead of just from a functional standpoint. So wearables basically are, the user controls what and how they want to be notified. And they get this via vibration or a sound or a screen notification. In my watch, it does all of those. It's sometimes, in my case, same thing, used in conjunction with a smartphone via Bluetooth. Wearables are a fairly big, broad thing, but if you think about them in conjunction with content, that this is really the future of mobile. Excuse me. Manufacturers who make laptops and desktops are at a dead end fairly soon here. Mobile will mostly replace almost all desktops and laptops. There will be some need for production ability on a traditional laptop or computer, but most people will no longer have the need for a desktop. 4G is prevalent almost through the entire United States now. As I travel throughout our different markets, most all of our markets are now at least 1, 2, or sometimes 3 different brands of 4G. 5G is coming out soon. That, again, like all markets, will come out in major markets first. And advanced forms of Wi-Fi will all make using a mobile device that much easier. The other thing that's going to happen is that battery life will increase exponentially over what we're used to today. A lot of people milk their phone during the day and kind of over the day are worried about the battery's going to go out on them. So they maybe don't use it as much as they could. So if you could use a phone for 3 days in a row as much as you wanted to, whether it be gaming or videos, movies, TV, in addition to everything else you're looking at, and not have to worry about the battery going dead, that's going to make consumption go up tremendously. It'll also make consumption of news go up tremendously. So where is it? It's everywhere. Mobile is just incredible. I want to bring up a couple things here. Mobile's also even places it really shouldn't be. As we know in California and other states, you cannot use a mobile phone in your car without a Bluetooth connection, but people still do it, and they do it in other parts of the country. Any of us that go to a movie, before the movie, you get the notification about, please turn off your mobile phone, and there's always 1, 2, or 3 people. The other week, there were 3 girls next to my wife and I, not only continued to have it on, but used it the entire movie. It was like so annoying. In restaurants, the National Restaurant Association says that mobile usage has decreased their table turns by 12%, meaning that the average person who now eats at a restaurant stays 12% longer, whatever that time period was, because they're taking pictures, or they're chatting, or they're checking in, or they're asking even the waiter to take pictures and so forth. And that's affected the profitability of the restaurants. In church, if we go to church or not, it's just mind-boggling that people can't turn off a phone. In bed, for a lot of different reasons. At work, it used to be that you didn't use a cell phone at work. You didn't do something that was personal in nature at work. It was considered a no-no, and most of your employers forbid you from doing that. I can't imagine an employer forbidding someone to not use their phone because it's personal time, not work time. Schools, particularly college, upper education now, mobile devices are totally ubiquitous, and even in high school to some degree. Basically, junior high and upper elementary school, cell phone usage is pretty much forbidden. Walking, think about walking. Oh my God, the people in any kind of semi-urban environment or someplace where there's a sidewalk and they're walking down the street carrying the phone, totally oblivious to where they're going, and hit a tree or walk off a curb. And then I go to the gym. I'm a gym rat, exercising. It's amazing the people that say they were at the gym for an hour, and really they were working out for 20 minutes. In 40 minutes, they were on their phone texting. So here's a little bit about data. Why it's important. We all want numbers, but I do want to make this point. Numbers are important to some clients. Some clients don't care at all about numbers. They get that mobile usage is something emotional. So for your clients that want to know data numbers, I'm going to spit out some stuff here. As we speak today, most all of our markets, over 50% of the usage and the consumption of content is done on a mobile device. our content producers haven't adapted to that, and our culture hasn't adapted to that. Even our salespeople haven't adapted to that. And if there's nothing else today that I can have you do, is to realize that it's not just that it's 50% now. By the end of the year, it's probably going to be 2/3, and only 1/3 will be done on a web browser as we traditionally think of digital. More people consume content on mobile than they consume content on print. That's just in mobile. So if print is a 2.5 or 3 times circulation for readership number, look at the same number on mobile for unique visitors, and unique visitors will usually be beating that. This is one point that I think is sometimes forgotten or not really understood. Because a mobile device, particularly a smartphone, is a relatively small device, it has a 4.7-inch screen. We sometimes trivialize and minimize the importance and how big that audience is. Just because something is small doesn't mean it's not powerful. And mobile is the most powerful medium you can possibly be associated with. So I want to make that point. A good analogy or example would be someone who has a magazine, has a 8.5 by 11 size ad. I think, the importance of that visually is very nice. But when the market is a couple thousand people that actually read that ad versus the tens of thousands that more than likely could see your ad repeated over and over and over again on a mobile device, I think that's the important thing. Mobile has a greater connection to most people than any other device they use all day. Not to get risque or not, but there's only one other connected thing that people use is connected to them as much, and that is their underwear. I know that sounds weird. For people that do wear underwear, your underwear is on all day. You touch it. And mobile is almost that much. Amazing. Most people, the average person, now considering this takes into fact huge heavy users and some people that don't use it as much, now use their smartphone 185 times a day. That continues to go up every 3 months by like 10 more times a day. Of that, they consume news 7 or 8 times in a day. 7 or 8 times in a day means that over 50 times in a week, they're going to be consuming content. It's never more than 4 feet away from them. Think about it. It's basically replaced a purse or a wallet as far as the importance of things. It's going to replace credit cards soon for the same thing. Mobile, how people consume mobile, this is really important, and I want to talk about this from the content producer standpoint and how we need to think of it. It's fed to the audience. The audience doesn't find the content. It is a grazing type mentality. Think if you have a dog. I have a wonderful Great Dane. He's 150 pounds. He eats 30 pounds of dog food every 10 days. We feed him twice a day. And he eats every morsel of that. And that is kind of like how traditionally we've fed people news on the internet 2 or 3 times a day. That's not how people consume it. And they consume it from a grazing mentality of 30, 40 times a day, possibly, that we could be touching them. And so we need to think about that in terms of drip, 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 irrigation, not flooding things. And from a journalist standpoint, that wasn't something that was probably ever taught in journalism school. So these are some things that are changing and changing dramatically. Notifications and phone settings are basically equal to what a Twitter feed is. Everyone sets up their smartphone differently and how they like to get notified. Do they like to get notified with a vibration? Do they like to have a screen notification? Do they like to have it turned off? But it's part of how people consume content. The average household has approximately 4 devices. And I can't say this strong enough. None of them are shared. The worst thing you can ever do to someone is pick up their smartphone and try to play around with it. You want to talk about a scared look on someone's face. That's what happens when you do that. These are personal things that people hold close to them. And think about the difference between that and print. Print is a shared medium. If a household gets a newspaper, no matter how many people are in the household, they don't get 3 newspapers. They get 1, or if it's a magazine, they get 1. And a little aside to that is, for some odd reason, I saw this statistic in Australia and New Zealand. The average household has 6 to 7 devices. For some reason, they have more devices than we do. Here's an interesting tidbit: 18 to 24% of smartphone usage is done in a bathroom. So take that for what it's worth. 84% is multitasking while watching TV. Netflix, 30% of households subscribe to Netflix. Of that, 23%, and increasing dramatically, are using mobile for their Netflix. This is something important when we talk about the all-powerful TV and how people think TV is actually more important than it increasingly is. Nielsen has shown in 2014 versus 2013 that people now consume 3 less hours per week of TV, and that trend will continue to grow. TV peaked about 18 to 24 months ago as far as usage and consumption. Facebook and Twitter, mobile usage is now 10 plus hours a week on average. When you consider that the average time spent on each Facebook or Twitter is less than a minute, that's a lot of different potential times that people could be seeing ads. Last year's holiday shopping, some of the data comes back showing that mobile was used for approximately 1/3 of either purchases or comparison shopping, versus the same period a year ago was about 23%. So that grew by 50% this year, and it's not going to go down. People use their phones increasingly to rate and compare service and products more than they ever have before. Whether that be Yelp or whether it be TripAdvisor, Angie's List or whatever, that's how a lot of shopping is done. So most important part of this, what's the benefit to the client? It's both a branding and a call to action. I can't say one is more important than the other. And for any client that wants to do just one, I don't know if that's the best mentality. It's associated with a pet-like device. What I mean by that is nothing is more personal than someone's cat or dog. I know that sounds weird to put a smartphone on that, but people put a value to it. It's just, there's nothing else like it. When you think about that possibly someone has hundreds of photos from a personal standpoint in their phone, has a number of voicemails that are very personal in nature, all kinds of things that make a lot of sense. The benefit is a frequency of the message, because we talk about that people are looking at them more often. The 7 or 8 times per day that they're looking at news will continue to go up also. And part of our job is to push that out there. We can no longer think of people will find the news. No, we have to have the news pushed out to them. That's how they want it. The other huge benefit is, think about the ad size of a mobile ad relative to the size of the screen. It's dramatically bigger than any other medium, particularly for the cost. When you're looking at a 5-inch screen and an ad takes up half the screen, that's a very powerful message. And I think demonstrating that to your clients is one of the best things you can do with your own smartphone, to show them, look, this is what an ad looks like. Wow, I've got that person's attention. So here's my suggested ad size. I suggest only one, and that is a 300 by 250. Make it static only. Do not have any kind of movement as maybe you have done in the past. I would not even have 2 or 3 screen transitions. Studies show that mobile users do not like a lot of movement at all. Not that people like it before on a browser, but it was a much larger screen. Please make it 7 words or less, maybe even 6 words, and only sell one feature at a time. And then, I can't say this strong enough, rotate and refresh your ads at the minimum once a month. The fatigue factor on mobile, because of the repetition and the frequency, is much higher than anything else. And an ad that stays up for 2 or 3 months with the same content, same creative, will lose dramatically the response rate. These are what I suggest for costs. The audience on mobile is bigger than print, and ad costs should be equal to web costs, not less. When we think about, I say our average paper now has a web ad cost of $225, $250 per month, and most all of our papers who are selling mobile separately are nowhere close to that. I'm suggesting $175 to $300 per month, depending on the length of the contract. Hopefully, obviously, the smaller cost is the lower cost. The longer period of time. And then some markets are more price sensitive than others. And really, ask the question: why should we continue to charge 3 or 4 times as much for a print ad than we do for that? The customer that we already have now is willing to pay that, and somehow in our mind we go, well, this is a small little add-on, a small little device, it's something quote-unquote new. I feel funny or awkward about charging them so much. I've seen people get that queasy look. No, we have a very strong product that makes a whole lot of sense, and charging that $175 to $300 per month, I think, is more than justified. So there are some alternatives for linking your click-throughs that are different than a web browser. One of them is go to a Google map. And I have 6 different things on here. And my suggestion is that if someone's on a 12-month contract, or even if they're not, to move these around, to not always have the same click-through. And there's a huge benefit that sometimes some clients don't realize. One of the biggest problems you have on mobile is that the client's website is not responsive. It doesn't look good on a mobile device. On a 5-inch screen, it's all a little tiny, or it's all jumbled up. So one of the things you can do to get around that is have it go to their Google Plus page. And the Google Plus page is already a responsive site. It has a map, it has directions, it has a telephone number, more than likely has hours operations, so that people can know, boom, right then I can go there. One other alternative is to build a specific landing page to do data farming and collection, to possibly have a coupon. Best advantage on mobile is to click to dial. For people that want their clients to call them, what better way to do it than, boom, they got the mobile phone right in their hand. A number of clients have an app, not that many, but some do. I can think of community banking, savings and loans, and small banks that have apps and have more and more people to download them. And then I have to say this stronger than ever, and that is never send a person to a website that has an incorrect formatted URL. That is, if the site is not responsive, do not ever have the ad click to that. Test it, look what it looks like, and if it looks good to you, then use it. You're going to know right away. Okay, here's some of my ideas for improved mobile content. None of these are earth-shattering, but they come from the fact that television hasn't done a very good job with digital in general. What they have done a good job with recently is feeding mobile content to an audience differently than they did with a web browser. One of the top things that they do and we could do, and this is so basic, is 2 times a day, the same time every single day, we send out a weather update. TV does this every day, and a vast majority of a lot of their traffic is just people looking at weather. Nobody owns the weather. I understand that. But people want to see the weather. And you can do it all kinds of different ways, whether you want to personalize it or not. I would suggest doing that. But doing that alone would get page views tremendously up. Just the notification of a weather update, people can't resist the fact that I want to see what it's going to be looking like. Breaking news, very obviously, crime, court decisions, fires, emergencies, and then traffic conditions. Traffic sometimes in a lot of our small towns isn't that noticeable, but just alone, people like to know. Sports updates, very obvious. Do a business recap. New businesses going out of business, zoning changes, menu changes, profiles of owners. Again, television does a very good job of this. Make this a regular mobile recap so people can look forward to it the same time every week. Do a photo of the day. That is so basic. And on a mobile phone, people love to look at that. So I can't say strong. That is one of the easiest things you can do. And just post that up there every day in a number of different formats. This day in local history. Do you remember, quote unquote, as basic as that sounds, again, send it out the same time every day, or possibly change it different times. But again, great content for mobile. A week in review, top 5, top 3 stories of the last week. Pet adoption. Oh my God, people absolutely love pets. My boss loves pets. Talk to her about pet adoption. But even if your Humane Society or whoever does adoptions in your community doesn't have a lot of pets, still people love to see those pictures of cats, dogs, birds, whatever they are. And even if the same dog's been there for months, those are just great images. Do a video cam. That sounds like, we don't have production to do that. Just use your darn smartphone. The camera video is fine on a smartphone nowadays. And go out and do sub-community profiles. A community can be a couple streets, and take short little snippets like that. Same thing for the weather and traffic we were talking about. I'll give an example of Ken in Wapaton. He's right downtown on the major street on a corner. Have somebody go out the same time every day and just take a 20-second video on their smartphone and just talk into it a little bit. It doesn't need to be that professional, and people will love that on a mobile phone. And then social news. Every community is different. I know I spelled quinceañeras wrong, but in our Hispanic communities, that's huge. Weddings, anniversaries, births. You could do obituaries. I'm not sure if that on mobile is such a great thing, but that's fine. But social news every day as part of your content. So here's my summary. Think about the lady shopping here. She's got a basket full of vegetables, but everywhere she goes, she carries her phone with her. She uses it for all kinds of different reasons. And while she's carrying it, she's seeing our client's message for whatever reason. And I can't say this strongly enough. Nowhere else can you get that connection than a wearable device, a tablet or smartphone gives our client. This, from a summary standpoint, talking about mobile, this is my biggest point, is that something that's that close to them, that's used that often, that is that personal, if your brand is connected with that and shown on a repetitive basis, what better form of advertising can you read than that? So look forward to results coming up in a couple of weeks. I hope this was helpful and beneficial. In the future, I'd like to do more of these type of things. And any questions or comments, help you have, here's my email address. It's jimkeys@weckcommunications.com. And obviously Christian and his team, Christian Ramirez at weckcommunications.com, can help you out more from a technical than maybe a sales or strategic matter. So thanks a lot. Have a great day, and I appreciate your time.